You mentioned earlier that you like to make everything yourself. And I hinted to the possibility that some people may buy a ready-made costume, right? So what is the importance of like first accuracy and authenticity in the cosplay itself? And do people not discriminate perhaps, but not take into consideration if it's just a bought costume from... Is there a difference between costume and cosplay, or?
Well, the difference between costume and cosplay is just like whether it's based on a work that already exists versus like when I hear costume, I think of like being a ghost for Halloween or something. That's the difference there for me. But in terms of bought cosplay versus made cosplay, actually in Japan, the large majority of people buy their cosplay.
Oh, really?
It's so readily available. There's so many stores that you can buy cosplay from, and you can also order things to be custom made. So even like among my cosplay friends here in Japan, a lot of them just buy their cosplay, and they spend all the time on styling their wig, on perfecting their makeup. So like maybe their skills don't lie in, sewing or something, but they can still really enjoy cosplay by putting their energy into the areas that they like. So I think that's totally a cool way to enjoy it too.
So,
sorry, how much would cost a good cosplay in a Japanese store?
Oh, it depends on how
quality.
complex it is, but like, trying to convert numbers in my head, like ichiman gosen, so
$130?
Yeah, $130-ish or $150 probably. Depends on how complex it is, but definitely over $100.
So for people who buy the costume, then the most important part will be just getting into the character, right? So they will maybe pretend to move or talk like the character that they're cosplaying, and that's what's important for them, as opposed to for you who mentioned that you like to make the costumes, you like to pay attention to the details, which are important to you.
Yeah, I think in the end, the way that once we're wearing it, we have a similar way of enjoying it. For them, yeah, maybe it's more just about like once you get dressed up. I would say overall people don't generally like act like the character. They might, try to mimic some poses and things for photos, but overall you don't see people like pretending that they're the character so much. It's that I'd say that's kind of the divide between cosplay and acting. It's more like modeling than acting, really.
Interesting.
But yeah.
And so when you meet people at conventions, will they notice that you, for example, made it yourself, or that you've like paid attention to details? Is it something that is discussed a lot?
Some people notice and some people don't. I think because I make cosplay, I can generally point out like whether something is made or not. You can kind of tell by the materials. A lot of bot cosplay uses some of the same types of fabrics. And I think that's one thing that's fun with making your own cosplay, is being able to branch out and use a little bit fancier or more unusual types of fabric. But I don't think anyone else is treated any differently. And yeah, the majority of people just buy their cosplay. So I think that's no one is looked down upon for doing that. The only things that you would be looked down upon for here in Japan are like if you're not wearing a wig, if you don't have contacts, sometimes people will not be as friendly to you. So you're not
fully finishing the cosplay, and therefore you kind of like,
So in terms of the way that the Japanese cosplay community can be a little bit strict, they also have this thing called kyarakuzure, which is like being out of character. So if you are breaking the character's image and not portraying them to the best of your abilities, or if you're, for example, a character that's a high school student, but in real life you're an adult who smokes cigarettes, you're not allowed to smoke at the event because that's breaking the character's image. They're a high school student. So I think that's one way in which the Japanese cosplay community can be a bit more strict than cosplay communities overseas.
Do people also collaborate on a cosplay? Maybe some characters are, I don't know, twins, or they are supposed to be a pair in the game, and people kind of work together. Oh, let's cosplay these two together at the convention.
Definitely, yeah. I'd say that's another fun memory from a cosplay event that I went to, was gathering a group of friends who all like the same game, and everyone chooses a character to be, and putting together a group like that and taking photos together. It's really great when you can assemble the whole cast of your favorite game.
Does it affect a little bit also your personal life sometimes to differentiate? Like now I'm doing cosplay, I'm focused on cosplaying, and now I'm not in my cosplay, and to kind of keep it separate sometimes.
I think sometimes in terms of like the divide between work and personal life, sometimes I'm like, how much should I share in things like that? But as I said before, because it's like not really like acting, it's more like modeling, I don't really feel a divide like that. It's mostly just about how can I balance my time to do everything that I want to do.